Okey doke. I'll
Okay,
put it on.
this meeting is being recorded. Ellen, we're getting feedback from you, so maybe if you could mute yourself,
Okay.
your two devices are problematic. So welcome everyone. We're going to get started now. No, I'm still getting feedback, but I'll try to power through. Um, uh, we're going to just start out with this meeting is being recorded. You can see that with at the top of your screen, at least on a computer, you should see a red light in the message recording. Um, if you don't wish to be seen in the meeting, you can stop your video, and I will be showing you how to do that later in the meeting, but you will find your toolbar on iPads at the top of your equipment and on most computers in a bar across the bottom. If you don't see that, if you hover over either the top or the bottom of your screen with your mouse, or if you have a touch screen, it should, your toolbar should show up. And then if you just tap the video camera, it'll say stop video. It'll put a diagonal line across it. And if you wanted to restart the video, you could then just tap on that and that would start the video again. So it's a toggle switch. Microphone works the same way. And you see that a number of people in the meeting have muted their microphones. And you can do that. I especially am going to ask you to do that if you have a barking dog in the background, a ringing telephone, other sounds that don't belong in our meeting. You can mute yourself, and other people will see on the screen that there's a slash through your microphone. Then you may see that someone's lips are moving, but you can't hear them. And usually that's what I say. Alice, I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. And you turn on your microphone. Or someone will say, Alice, you're muted. Please turn on your microphone. So for the newcomers, I'm wanting to let you know we are recording this meeting. So if you don't want your beautiful face, welcome Barbara, to be seen in the meeting, you may wish to stop your video, but it's up to you. And so with that said, I'm seeing a matrix of 4 rows across and 4 down with 16 people participating in the meeting. It's a little bit different on a tiny phone screen where you may have to scroll to see all the faces in a meeting, especially in a larger meeting where there are 100 attendees. In a meeting of this size, you may want to really focus on the speaker's face if they're giving emotional information, or maybe they're sharing their screen, which I'll be doing soon. And in order to change that, if you go to your, on a computer, it's at the top of your screen on the top right, there's a little matrix of 9 dots in the word view. And if you tap on that, you get the choice between a gallery view and the speaker view. When the speaker's speaking, they're lit up with a yellow box around them. And but if you want to see them more full screen, you can do that. And in fact, speaking of screens, I'm going to share mine now. You'll be seeing now slides in a moment here from, no, it didn't stay the way I left it. View presentation. So this is a photograph I took of an earlier meeting, and you can see in the earlier meeting that I was speaking. I'm second from the left in the top. I have that yellow box around me. At the bottom, my phone was also participating in the meeting, muted, and there's a photo of me wearing sunglasses because I had previously identified a photograph of myself as opposed to just the plain name that you're seeing for a number of participants in this current meeting. So that's what the gallery view looks like. And how do the speaker view just takes the person who is talking and makes them big on the screen. And sometimes this is the appropriate way to do that. If you really want to, in a language class, if you want to see how someone's moving their mouth to pronounce a word and you're working on pronunciation, that can be helpful, for instance. Or in an emotional family meeting, you may want to be able to read someone better. You can also pin the certain people to be big on your screen where they'll stay big regardless of who's speaking. And in a recent meeting that I was in, that was important because one of my family members kept talking to herself, which was kept making her be big when we were trying to see photos that another family member was sharing. And does anybody know how to pin somebody to the screen? Joy, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us?
There's two ways. And the way I always do it is I hover over the box of the person who's, well, I don't know, yeah, any box, hover over somebody's screen and a thumbtack appears on my computer in the upper left. And you click on that thumbtack. And I don't know the other way, even though I was in that meeting you're just talking about.
I think it happens from the participants window. You can hover over the person you want to pin. Let's see. Maybe not. Well, that's one way. And that's good enough. If we all maybe know a way.
Beth,
Yeah.
on mine, if you go to the upper right-hand corner of everybody's box, it says mute, and then there's 3 dots, and part of that drop-down menu has pin.
Okay. So is that
on mine, it's just the 3 dots are there, but it says more rather than view.
Click more. Click more.
Yeah.
and then under more, pin is one of your choices.
No.
No. What are your
No.
choices?
I don't get it. Oh, well, there, this time it did. I have raise hand, chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting, disconnect. And then there's some emoticons there.
Are you in the corner of your picture of you?
Yep. Oh, no, I'm in the 3 dots and more.
Okay, in your little picture
But
of
Okay.
you on the screen.
Those little dots. Yes. Okay.
Those little dots.
Yeah.
And I'd
I
like
was
to
at the
contribute.
I was at the wrong dot. Oh.
Okay.
so that's how you can control what you see of others.
And Beth,
Yeah.
when somebody's sharing screen, but you want to see people as well, there's a line between
Yes.
the people, and you can drag that back and forth to.
I will show you that, Chris.
Okay, sorry. I'm jumping ahead, sorry.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. So let's see, how do I make my slides advance? So we saw the ribbon of small speakers at the top in the last, at the side in the last slide or at the top. And I think you can just drag those different people around to put them at the top of the right, depending on what you're seeing in a meeting. I believe it just happens by hovering over that ribbon and moving it where you want. And Alex, you and Ed may choose to mute yourself if you two need to talk if you're not asking a question.
Okay, I'm trying to get rid of you, not get rid of you, Beth, but I have the speaker view, and then with somebody in there with a very pretty painting in the back, and then I have a little you, Beth, in the lower right hand, and I can't get back to the screen where there were 16 of us.
Well, right now I'm showing, you're seeing my slides. That's exactly what you should be seeing.
Okay,
And so I'm showing you in this slide, the teacher talking to the English students in a library English class recently.
uh-huh,
The people who are participating in that meeting above her. In the
Okay.
previous picture, the people who were participating in that meeting were behind her. So this is just a photograph you're looking at with my notes on to the right-hand side of it.
right, and that is only you, something that you can control. We
Correct.
can't make our screen do that.
Well, you can share your screen, but we're not going to allow that right now. I'm going to,
Okay,
that comes up later in the meeting.
okay.
So that's not letting me. So here's my next slide. While you're on a computer in a meeting, you can minimize the Zoom meeting by going again to that view control in the top left of your meeting. And here you can see a screenshot of what was going on for me at that moment. I had my email up, and above my email, there were some other things going on. I'm just telling you right now that you can use the computer for other things beside the Zoom meeting you're in while you're in a Zoom meeting. That's the purpose of this slide. The way you do that, you use the minus bar that's up at the top right, and then it floats a small picture of the Zoom meeting. Remember, everyone can still see you while you're searching your email for that factoid, or you're searching Google for that factoid. So just be aware of that. And depending on what you're doing, another window might pop up on top of this one, and then you might have a hard time seeing how you get back to where Zoom is. So take some practice to learn how to do this effectively. But if you're practicing with friends, that's okay. So now we're going to get to something that some of us talked about a little bit before the meeting actually got started, your Zoom toolbar. And that's at the bottom as opposed to at the top right-hand corner. We talked about the mute and the stop video already, but I'm going to highlight it again. Those buttons are really important. Sometimes you want to mute because as now, I'm making a presentation and doing most of the talking, and other background noises are distracting to the meeting itself. Sometimes you want to stop your video because you're eating dinner during a meeting and you don't want people to see that, but you still want to listen and participate. Another reason you sometimes want to stop a meeting is that stop video in a meeting is that the video requires greater bandwidth from your internet. And if you live in an area with poor bandwidth, or it's just a bad day for the internet for whatever reason, if everybody in the meeting stops their video, the meeting can proceed better. And then the benefit of Zoom, that it is a video meeting, is lost, but the meeting can still continue even without the video, as simply an audio meeting. I mentioned earlier that the controls move around a little bit depending on what kind of a computer you have. And I haven't experienced this recently, but I was in a family meeting a while ago where the control panel disappeared completely. It only arrived when I hovered over it, but it otherwise wasn't there. And so sometimes it will kind of just fade away in order to give you more screen real estate with less distraction. But it,
Yeah, Beth, on an iPad, that's the case. The controls only are visible if you, in my case, tap at the top of the screen,
right, and this was
and
odd
then they're
because
visible.
it was a computer I use all the time, and that was the first time that happened. Like, where'd my controls go? But if I hovered over the bottom of the screen, then they reappeared. So now what I intend to do is to Well, first of all, am I going too fast? How's the pace?
Fine.
Fine.
Your pace is fine. Somebody has their microphone on and there's background noise going on.
Right.
So that's one of the things I've found in all the Zoom meetings I've had is, people think they're talking quietly to the person who's sitting next to them, and it has nothing to do with what the meeting is. And it's so distracting, and they don't realize how much the microphone picks up.
That's a good point. Laptop microphones tend to be a lot more sensitive than we would give them credit for. And so I'm not sure if you saw anybody lighting up when we were hearing that background noise. It might be Yvonne, it might have been Alice. I'm not sure.
Do you want me to mute people and then they can unmute when they want to talk?
So does everybody feel comfortable? Welcome, Yvonne, unmuting themselves?
What?
Does everybody feel comfortable muting themselves?
Oh,
Or
The host can mute everybody.
right, but if they can't unmute themselves, then they can't ask a question.
I'm gonna unmute me, but I'm gonna get back on so that I can still comment, but hold on.
Right, so you just tap on the mute, Alice. Temporarily mutes you. If you want to speak, you just tap on the mute again and it lets you speak. Good.
I have a question. Beth.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want us to do when we have a question?
I think you should unmute yourself and say, I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you. So Yvonne, we may be getting, well, now you're muted. Yeah, I was just by seeing your box light up, I thought we were getting background noise from you. I'm not sure where it's coming from. So now what I'm going to do is go along all of the controls at the bottom of your screen and explain what they do. So we've covered the mute and the unmute. And then the next set of controls is security that hosts have. And you all won't see this except for Ellen, because none of you are the hosts of this meeting. But
Beth,
yes.
I don't have anything at the bottom of my screen. Are you saying that the things that are at the top of my screen are at the bottom of yours?
Right, because you're on an iPad.
Okay, thank you.
So in your controls, we'll just say they kind of go, I'm going from left to right, and they may be slightly different on an iPad, but they are eventually are all there. So first is mute, stop video. Next is security. We'll come back to security later, but you guys can't see security because you are not the meeting host, and only the meeting host has security. Next is participants. Mine says 15. There are 15 different devices in this meeting. And if you click on that participants, you can see the names of the people in the meeting, and whether I can see whether or not they have their camera on or off, and whether their video is on or off over there. Beneath that, I have a chat window, and chat enables me to send a text message to either a specific meeting participant or all meeting participants. And so I'm going to do that now by saying, hi, everyone. So now you've received a chat message. If you write back, it will probably come back to everyone, but where the blue everyone button is large, there's a tiny white drop-down arrow next to it. If you tap on that, you could write back just to one person. So I saw Warrior Princess nodding a moment ago when I tried that to hi everyone, and now I'll just say hi Warrior to her. So you have some control over that. And Barbara Merritt has sent a message to me saying thank you, and Marty sent a message to everyone. So that's a little bit about how chat works. And chat can be helpful in a meeting when somebody's monopolizing the meeting and somebody else wishes they weren't. They could send a private message saying, please allow others to speak, or they might send a message to the meeting host saying, you know, it would be nice if someone else had a chance to talk. Could you please take control of the meeting, depending on what kind of a meeting it is. Sometimes people in a meeting where they're sharing a lot of information and things are just jouncing along really fast, they'll put links to websites that relate to what they're talking about in the chat. They'll put different kinds of information there that are valuable. In some meetings, it's kind of appropriate to leave that chat box up and visible because there is a lot of conversation going on. And in other meetings, it's just taking screen real estate and you want to hide it. So good for you all for experimenting a little bit with chat today. And now I'm trying to get rid of my chat window. So
Hey,
you,
Beth. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. At the bottom of the chat pop-up, there's something that says file. And I'm just wondering what that does.
if you're in a meeting where there's a lot of factual information that you want to access after the meeting, you can store that as a file, as a text file. So if people are sharing website addresses and you can find this PDF here and you can look at that blah, blah, blah there, and you can't take it all in the course of this quick hour meeting, but you want to read those documents later, you can save the chat and then have access to those addresses for the PDF file and the websites that people were talking about.
So, okay, so you're saying that everything that appeared in the chat window can be stored in a file.
Right.
In one of these places, Dropbox or whatever.
I think it goes default is that it goes to the Zoom folder, wherever that is stored on your device for
Oh.
future access. I've never found a chat window so enchanting that I wanted to save it. So I'm not too experienced with that, but I think that's where it goes.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have a file capability. I don't see file on my chat.
It's on the right-hand side where there's the white box that comes off of the pictures.
Above the ... next to the two.
And then down at the very bottom where it says to everyone, you can type in.
Right.
There's a thing that says file. If you click on that, it gives you a list of where to file to.
Right.
And if you click on the three dots, save chat, participant, and then has some options as well. So I don't know where save chat goes. Let's see.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I believe it goes to your Zoom.
That save showing, oh, it goes to my computer, to my files of the computer.
So you get that save chat button just next to the two.
It went to my Finder, I don't know where. Maybe downloads. Let me see. See if
Typically, saving chat isn't
Okay.
something you're going to need to.
Oh, on your computer, there is a Zoom file under documents. And it saves it there.
So that answers your question, Barbara? Great. So that was a good question. So we're just still going across the bottom of the screen. Security participants chat share screen, and it should. Sorry about that. Security participants chat share record. If you're the meeting host, you have a item called breakout, but otherwise you won't. Reactions and leave or end are the tools that you have. Some of you, rather than seeing all of these, may just have more or you may not even have the word more, but just ... But if you go to those, you will get more and eventually have all of these different things you can do in a meeting. So we'll continue in our journey from right to left across the bottom. I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, that one.
Beth, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I clicked on one of those funny little thingies on the reactions, and it put it on my thing. How do you make it go away?
It goes away on its own in a few minutes. So Warrior
Okay.
Princess is waving. Is that, I have a
Yeah.
question? No, okay, she's just saying hi.
Testing.
So back to my screen. If sometimes I didn't know where to put this. I put it here and I shouldn't have put it here, but sometimes to gain more screen real estate or to just because you can't stand to look at yourself, you can hide your self view. And this does not hide others from seeing you. It simply hides you from having to look at yourself in a meeting. So the way you get that is to be in gallery view first. And that if you're in speaker view, you can't hide your self view. Then you can click in the top left corner of your own image. And one of the choices is this blue button that we see on the photograph, hide self view. Remember, others can still see you. So it's not the same thing as muting your camera, but it just enables you to participate in a meeting without having to look at yourself. Next.
How do you undo it?
Probably, I don't know.
Go back up to the view and choose there. It says regain.
Yes, that's right. Choice.
Okay, so moving along our controls, again, on the bottom, we talked about participants and chatting. Another thing you can do in participants is to change or add, in some cases, for many of you, a profile picture. If instead of being in a meeting as white text on a black background that says your name, you'd like to be in the meeting as a photograph of yourself, you can do that and then upload a picture from your computer by tapping on that edit profile picture. This is also where you rename yourself. So if you come into a meeting, for instance, we discussed this, some of us earlier with Warrior Princess, or with Alice is showing us her email address, but she wanted to rename herself as Alice Atkinson. She could tap on rename and then be given the choice to, rather than showing us an email address, to give us her real name. Or you may not, instead you may prefer more anonymity, and so you just want to be Alice and not have people see your last name.
Beth, I haven't seen that any time today when we're talking about rename. I can't find that. I'm on an iPad.
You find a participants.
Yeah, I got the participants.
You find yourself.
Yeah.
And then you go to more.
No, I don't have a more. I just have me.
Alice, this is Alan, when you get to your participant list, click on your own name.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, there it went. There, okay, fine.
And you get three options, one of which is rename.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna cancel it. I'm not gonna take the time to Atchison. Thank you.
Thank you. No worries that you should do that, just letting you know that you may do that. And sometimes
Beth?
you anonymously, yes, somebody's asking.
Yeah, it's Barbara. I don't know why I have this echo going. When, when I first joined a meeting and my video isn't on, it just has my name. It comes up as Barbara. And then I have to change it in the corner. I put my whole name, but it doesn't memorize it. So the next meeting I go to, it just says Barbara on it, and I have to go in and change it. And I'm wondering how you memorize how you want your name to always appear.
I believe that.
Yeah, I've got that one.
My guess is the answer to this lies in the fact that you, Barbara, you have an account already at zoom.us. And it may be that how you set your account up there as opposed to how the app knows you that you're using on your computer.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Alan. I can confirm that is where you can establish the default name.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Okay, thank you.
Not everyone has an account at zoom.us, so that was an excellent question. You don't need one in order to participate in meetings. If you want to host a meeting, you need to have an account. So that's where I said earlier that the second part of this presentation will cover more of that. And
Beth,
Beth,
I'm not seeing how to add a photo.
you upload a photo from your computer, and it would be pretty time consuming, I think, to show that, but let's see if I can do that.
Well, I'm not even seeing where you do it, so.
Let's wait till we get to the second part of the meeting. Okay, I know, Crispy, you're afraid you need to leave, but that's a pretty advanced step. Alice, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Now it's mute.
Now I can hear you.
Huh, because it says mute. Okay. We were talking about how I want to know how I can get the Zoom icon on my iPad, on my computer. Because I have an account and all that sort of thing, but I can't have a Zoom icon, which of course makes everything simpler. I can get in, obviously I'm in on the meeting, but is there a way to get the Zoom icon onto my computer?
Yes, it's what kind of computer do you use? Is it a Mac or Windows?
It's a PC.
It's an app, and if you scroll down through the Microsoft Start screen over on the left, it's all the way alphabetically at the bottom under Zoom, under Z for Zoom. But you can click on that icon from your Windows Start button and drag it into your tray so that it's there with your other frequently used apps. And
okay, I know what you're talking about. I think that I'm not at that machine, but I'll look later. But I think that there's no Zoom icon there.
If you haven't downloaded the Zoom app to your computer, there won't be, it won't be in your, so you may have to do what you've done on your iPad, is go ahead and download it again onto your Windows computer.
Okay, I'll do it.
And then I've dragged mine because I use Zoom now, it seems like almost every day. I've dragged it into that tray so that it's always handy.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I have an iMac.
Mm-hmm. I believe you do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Alan. Tony, you go to your applications folder on your iMac, and once you've downloaded the Zoom app, it will be in your applications folder. Then just grab the icon and drag it over onto your desktop.
Oh, thanks, Alan.
Or drag it down into your bar at the bottom, either way.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to screen sharing and my presentation. And this is me with no video in a phone meeting. And we talked about chat before. Here's the chat arrow. And remember that everyone button is a drop down. Depending on how the meeting is set up, you may or may not be able to privately chat Marty to Crispy or Crispy to Marty. This meeting host has control over that. And I didn't say that before, so I just wanted to go back and say that now. So you may find in this meeting that you're not allowed to privately chat with one another. I probably didn't set it up so that you can. And one reason meeting hosts won't set that up, if you're teaching a class, you don't want kids virtually sending spitballs and rude comments to one another in the middle of your class if you're the teacher. But sometimes it is the polite way to send a message to someone to please stop monopolizing the conversation. You don't want everyone to see that because it's kind of a hard thing to say. That's what chat will look like if you're on a phone and someone's chatting with you. And here you can't even see the whole message. Obviously, I'm saying, can you hear me? And you can't see the word me without doing something in that. This is another, well, we mentioned that. You can ask people to do that. Across your screen, there's the reactions icon on your screen. And we mentioned before, somebody managed to put up a waving hand, and there are other reactions, thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping. I think this was a cute thing that Zoom created a while ago. And after maybe about May, these emojis pretty much became passé already. Like the instant passé in the new culture, people aren't using those reactions very much anymore. Sometimes they're appropriate, but and feel free to go ahead and do that if you want to, especially for applause. Everybody loves applause, but they're just not that important. So I feel like you can safely disregard that whole toolbar.
Where do you find the reactions tools? The reaction button?
And on this next screen, you can see the reactions are closest to the end button. And it's got that icon of a smiling face that lets you know they're kind of emojis.
I don't see them.
Like if I stop sharing, they're still next to the my leave button on my toolbar.
They're not on mine.
How about if I share my screen for a minute, because I don't have anything up like you do.
Go ahead.
Okay. Shared screen, desktop. Okay, now come back to Zoom. Where are you? No, that's my email. Wait a minute. Where'd Zoom go?
Right next to Skype. Under the H of Happy New Year.
Under the H, yeah, but nothing open. How odd is that? Oh, here, no. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get out and have a look.
Okay.
What happened? Zoom US. This is Zoom US. Right.
So you can see them in this photograph that they are here next to my end meeting or leave button. And Crispy, you mentioned before the slider about sharing the screen and seeing the meeting participants. So the big yellow arrow is pointing to a control that those of you who are on a computer can see probably in this meeting, that you can click or hover over that slider and drag right or left and make my slides bigger or smaller, see more or fewer of the meeting participants. I'm not hearing anything. Is that clear? Okay. And thank you for bringing that up, Crispy. One thing I'll say also that people don't know immediately is that Zoom takes, and we mentioned it takes a lot of internet bandwidth, and I think it also takes a lot of the processing power of our computers to run. And so sometimes, like just now, I clicked 3 times to advance my slide, and it just seems, your computer seems a little slower when particularly you're sharing a screen and you're in a Zoom meeting. And so you feel like you're doing things 2 or 3 times, or you do something and it doesn't work, and then it did work, but it just, there's a couple seconds delay and it surprises you. So as we've all had to learn during this extraordinary last 10 months, more patience, more deep breathing. We'll get through it. Give your computer a couple of moments to catch up with you. So now we're getting into meeting hosting and sharing your screen. And I believe this meeting is set up where you all have a green share screen button. Before any of you touch it, I'm showing you a few things about how it works once you do touch it. So when you hit your share screen button, this big white box pops up, and you can see in the white box across the top 3 tabs, the word basic is highlighted in blue, and there's 2 more tabs, advanced and files. On the basic screen, I'm seeing sort of previews of 6 different things I could do right now. And the things I'm seeing previewed are the things that are actually open or available to me on my computer. So for this class, I deliberately had a Word document set up. I had a daily agenda set up, or an open email is apparently what that is, right above the yellow arrow. And my screen, the desktop. If you are intending to share a video, which most of you probably won't be doing, but which frequently happens, for instance, in English class, you want to make sure that you check the blue boxes for share computer sound and optimize screen for sharing video clip. Those are only important if the sharer, are using a video, but they are important if you're sharing either music or video, that you click those check boxes. Otherwise, the people on the other side can't see or hear very well what you're doing. And I can look at this screen and keep seeing the screen forever until I hit that big blue share button towards the bottom right-hand side. So step 1 is to hit share screen. Step 2 is to select a box that you want people to see. And step 3 would be, if you are sharing sound or video, to click on those blue check boxes. And step 4 is to hit the share button. So now this is the funnest part of the meeting. You all get to share your screen. And we're going to do that. I'm going to call on you if you want to try, one at a time. And we saw Ellen's screen for a minute, so she's done that. Alice, would you like to try that? I can't hear you, so I'm going to move on. How about Mary Miller?
Here I am. Right now, my symbol says mute.
It says mute when you're.
You
It
hear
says
me
mute,
when
but
it
there's,
says unmute.
it's telling you to click it to mute, and then when you click it, the mute thing has a red line that says unmute, so you click it to unmute. It's a little backwards. If there's a red line.
Thank
through it,
you.
it's
That's what
unmute.
okay. So unmute means you can all hear me. Mute means I'm quiet.
And you can see
Okay.
on the icon on your screen with the red slash through your microphone.
Yeah, no,
Would you like to try to share your screen?
sure.
So touch the green button.
The green button.
It says share screen.
Hold on. Yep. Okay.
Choose something in that white box.
Well, it's gray. Yeah, I have screen photos, iCloud Drive, Dropbox, etc.
How about screen photos?
How about what?
Screen photos. You just have to choose something. We don't care what unless you're showing
Okay.
you want to share.
Google Drive.
Okay. And then you'll have to probably choose a document, and we're not seeing your drive right yet, but
Well, it's coming.
okay. And you hit the share button.
Applications. Okay, now it's connect.
So you need to hit the share button.
It's oh, I've done that. It's just that it's slow.
Okay. And that is,
So Google Drive is, it says Google Drive is requesting access to your Zoom account.
maybe that wasn't the right thing to touch. You can decide to
Okay,
give it that. Let's move on
I'll go back.
to someone else. Who's going to be, Crispy, you want to try that?
Sure. I've never done this part before.
Right.
Okay, so then I have desktop.
So if you share your desktop, that gives you the most access to sharing everything in the meeting.
I don't have a desktop.
Right,
Okay,
you're not
so
on.
I was reading something, and if I wanted to share this article,
Right, we're all reading it too. Something about Bryn Mawr on the Washington Post.
yeah, this is about the Von Trapp family. We were just reading about
Cool. And
them.
so now you all have that slider that that we showed that Crispy talked about, where you can see all, a number of meeting participants and have a very hard time reading her document, or drag the other way and read her document very clearly, but you can't see very many participants.
Okay, so how do I stop share? Okay, I see stop share. There we go.
All right, I think
Thank
Marty
you.
also wanted to Zoom host. Do you want a chance to do that? Marty Robinson? Marty, you're muted, so I don't know whether you're wanting to do that or not. Okay, Marty.
Share screen,
Okay.
and I don't know. This is a new computer, so I don't have a lot on it.
So just share your desktop and whatever that is.
Can you see anything there?
Double click to enter full screen mode. We saw Marty started screen sharing, double click to see full screen mode, but we didn't see anything. Just that message. So you have to have what you want to share. You don't have to, before you start your screen share, it behooves you to have what you want to share open. So Ellen earlier experienced having trouble finding the things she wanted to show. And if you're using Zoom to teach, it behooves you to have open all the files that you might want to teach with before you begin your meeting. So I had my slides up before I started. I have a website up that we're going to go to pretty soon, so that when I go to screen share, I don't have to dink around on my computer. I'm just ready to share what I wanted to share.
Next time I'll be more ready.
Right, and I put you all on the spot. So anybody else want to raise their physical hand? And Joy does, and Barbara does. Okay, Joy, go ahead, and then we'll have Barbara.
Zoom wants to share the contents of your screen. Choose what you'd like to share. But I can't see anything to share.
You don't have a desktop. Yeah, so now we're seeing the websites that you have open. It's
Okay,
working, Joy, right? And you see that too.
I do see that. I
And
did, okay.
and all of the rest of you between her Zoom page and the tiny us, that double parallel white line, which lets you slide. So Barbara, your turn. Zoom, share your screen. So I think, Marty, you just gave up before you picked
Yep,
something.
I think it's working. This is
Yep.
my email.
It's working great. So thanks for that. The host can stop and take over screen sharing
Okay.
at any time. But no one else in a meeting, like I don't think I can start sharing my screen while another participant is. But when I'm hosting a meeting, I can just take over and like Barbara's screen is gone. And now you're seeing it. So that's valuable actually in some cases if you have obstreperous students in your class.
Can I ask you a question, Beth?
Please.
I know if I screen share like this, where is it? Now I have something open and I share it, you all see the film festival thing.
You see the film festival, exactly.
Yeah. But if I don't have anything open, you just see my my desktop.
Yes.
But even though Zoom is open, I can't share my Zoom screen. Because I was wanting to do that, to circle this area you were talking about with my mouse so you could see it.
Correct. And that's why I'm using a PowerPoint presentation of screenshots to show you where these things are, because I can't make you see.
Can't do that.
I can't make you see that toolbar. Correct.
Thanks.
All right, so that's sharing screens. You don't need to be a meeting host to do that, but it is
Beth,
a good thing. Yeah.
going right back to that, we did the participants share screen, and people have been saying that the next step for the share screen is something like desktop or something like that. I don't have that at all. Where can I find that?
Well, you might have a different experience on your computer than on your iPad. Alan, do you have anything more to say about that?
I'm on an iPad now, and
Alan,
Yeah.
do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I do. So when so I'm working on an iPad, and when I select share screen, which I'm doing now, right, I get a drop down.
Correct.
It says screen, photos, iCloud
Yep.
Drive, Dropbox. Those are the things that are available for me to share. Right?
Okay.
So I can share my user screen, right? Or I could share a whiteboard, or I could share my Google Drive.
Why
Right?
don't you share a whiteboard?
Those are the things that are shareable.
Oh, there's a whiteboard. Okay. All right. So the thing that Beth was talking, the word that Beth was talking about, we just don't have.
So if you have, on my iPad, I had, let's say my iPad mail open. All right. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to open my my mail. Right. And then I'm going to go back to
Alan, you're on stop video, so we're not seeing what you're doing.
Right. Well, you can't anyway until he does it, until he actually shares it. But correct, Alan, your iPad is not showing its video. So now we're seeing.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And okay. So you can see you can see my screen. If I stop the
Correct.
share, right? So when I say share, if I say, right, that in the iPad world, only certain screens are shareable, is what it comes down to. In the computer version of Zoom, a lot more things are shareable.
Okay, thank you.
So I think Mary and Joan are also on iPads. I'm not sure about that with Mary. Yeah, Mary. So you guys are, some of this you can't do, but one of the things, well, yeah, so if you're sharing photos in a family meeting, that's a cool thing. And you would just have to go to your iPad Photos app, and then you could share photos in a meeting. And I see part of your chat, Crispy. What do you say? Okay. This next slide I'm going to share is probably kind of redundant, but while the speaker is sharing, come on, computer, while the speaker is speaking and sharing his screen. In this case, Sam Garson is speaking, and he's talking about this project our high school kids did that was awesome. They built these little boxes that this fellow is holding with the blue box that control solar panels. And our kids in Friday Harbor sent these to a school, I can't remember what country in Africa, and helped. The STEM kids did the engineering behind that. So you probably already figured that out, that the speaker appears in yellow, but it's a cool slide for another irrelevant to this meeting reason. When you're sharing a screen on a computer anyway, you get toolbars that enable you to do stuff. And this is a somewhat confusing picture here, but I took an actual PDF file about the Cuisinart instruction and recipe book, and in blue, I created some text boxes and typed some things on a PDF file so that I edited it. And you can do stuff like that in a screen share, either live or do the editing beforehand and then just show the picture. This could be useful if you're trying to give someone instructions on how to do something. For instance, like this class. When you start a screen share in of a existing file, you get this, can you all see me moving my mouse up here around the annotate button? Good. Thank you for nodding, Mary. You get this annotate button, and then when you click on that, you get this whole second lower toolbar here. How do you want to annotate? And then you can type T for text and type the word rack here. If you go to this stamp button, you can create arrows. You have other choices of stamps like stars and hearts or something like that. So this is kind of an advanced feature. The annotate, let's see, the main Zoom toolbar on a computer anyway moves to the top. So it's up here where before it was at the bottom of my screen. And then this on that toolbar, it took me a while to figure this out, but this select thing enables me to move stuff around. So this again is a photograph. It's not a live screen, so I can't actually use any of those tools. I cannot for the life of me remember how to go to my next slide here. Oh, there you go. Duh. So now this is for meeting hosts. If you never want to host a meeting because you're already totally overwhelmed, this is where we get to say goodbye and thank you all for coming.
Beth,
Mhm.
this is Alan. Can I just, before you leave this, just say one more thing? For those of you using iPads and wanting to share your screen, okay, the best thing for you to do is go to Google or whatever's your browser, right? And search for something like Zoom Share Screen iPad. And you'll find articles about exactly how to do it. It's a little more complicated than I was able to explain today. Right? It's not as simple as on a PC where you simply click share screen and you get the options and you share it. So if you want to be sharing your iPad screen, I recommend you do a Google search on the internet and find yourself a couple of articles that explain how to do it.
Wow.
And you basically have to switch into a broadcast mode.
Mm.
And
Beth,
that's as far as we want to go today, I think.
Beth, I want to just say I want to thank you very much for today. The fact is that it definitely increased my interest to pursue further in this regard, because some of the kind of work I do is going to require me, especially in this day and age, to be able to do things remotely. And I want to thank you and all of you for just raising the questions. I know I didn't participate a whole lot, but I definitely got more of a sense of what's going on.
Okay. Well, Tony, if you have the time, encourage you to stay because you might decide to host a meeting and having it's going to be another just 20 minutes or so, I think. But if you don't have the time, I totally understand. And we'll do this meeting again. You're welcome to participate again next month. We set the date. I don't have that calendar in front of me. I think it's March 10th. But it will come out with the library programs. February 10th. Yeah, next month, March 10th. Love it, don't you? I'm looking on Wednesday. I'm not sure when it is, but it will be on our list of what we're doing next time. So continuing on, I'm going to share my screen once more and go back to my slides once more.
Can I ask a question about the meeting, Beth?
Sure.
Will it be the same material or more advanced?
It'll be these same slides every time.
Okay.
A little bit different. This is my first time using slides as opposed to just, I'm not sure how I did it last time anyway.
But mostly a repeat.
Yes, mostly a repeat.
Thank you.
So here's what's under the security button when you're a Zoom meeting host. You can lock the meeting, which means nobody else can join it. Like everybody's here, we're done. You can enable the waiting room, which all library meetings have, and which is now a default for Zoom meetings. You can disable the waiting room by checking on that box in that menu. A word about the waiting room. Some of you may know that in the beginning when the Western world went online with Zoom meetings, in the beginning of COVID rather, or lockdown, and businesses had to shift, there was such a thing called Zoom bombing, where people sent either annoying graffiti or sexually explicit messages into other people's meetings. And they, it's just one more way of spamming and being kind of hateful and hurtful. And who knows why people want to do that, but they were. So in order to prevent having unwanted pornographers popping in on your library class, we created waiting rooms where these bad actors were less likely to want to hang out because what their purpose was to disrupt, and they weren't likely to be willing to hang out in a waiting room. that seems to be something that's gone down a little bit, but it can be really nasty with hate speech and other things and be very disturbing. And it's one reason why some of us haven't done Zoom, because they heard about that. We heard about that in March and we thought, well, I don't want to have that experience. But it seems to be more under control now. Zoom's done a better job, and the meeting host also has some control over that with that security icon. So having said that, back to my slide. You can hide profile pictures if you wanted to. I don't know why one would want to do that. And the meeting that I set up did allow all the participants to share a screen. You don't need to do that, again, depending on what kind of meeting you're having. So if you're having a family meeting where you want to see photos, you definitely want people to share screens. In a certain kind of a classroom situation, you might not want people to do private chatting. You may or may not want people to rename themselves or unmute themselves or something like that. The red button, suspend participant, or the red text, suspend participant activities, means that you're kicking someone out of the meeting, again, because they've been a bad actor. And that can be problematic. I had a library volunteer whose audio was not working in the meeting, and we decided the best thing for him to do was to leave the meeting, but he couldn't even find the end button or the leave button. So I suspended him, and then that meant he could not get back in. So that was the wrong thing to do. So when you kick somebody out, they're out, and they may not be able to get back in. So beware of kicking people out of your meeting. I learned the hard way. And I've never had any experience of an unwanted attendee at a Zoom meeting, but other people have. So it bears speaking about, but I think most of that is not so much a problem as it was earlier last year.
Beth, can I add something?
Sure.
If you go, when you're in the host thing, where you have the list of participants, there is, if you hover your mouse over it, there's a thing that says more, and you drop down, and one of the things is remove. There's also a thing called put in waiting room.
Right.
Things like that. So you can get them out of there for a while if you want them back by putting them in the waiting room until you let them in again.
Right. And Zoom continues to upgrade its software, and it's not a bad idea if Zoom is telling you there's a new version to go ahead and accept that on your computer. It may work better for you as well. Some of the controls that we were just seeing, you can see on the device while you're live
Beth?
in the meeting. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a security button anywhere, and I will be.
As I said, only get a security button when you are the host. So you can't get that security button.
All right.
Because you're not the host of this meeting.
Okay.
So that's frustrating. I can't give you that hands-on.
Okay. Thank you.
So the way to get that hands-on experimentation is to have a fake meeting with a friend, because it helps all of us actually have a chance to do as well as learn. So you can host a fake meeting with a friend or a couple of friends to try to practice stuff. And you can, maybe if you have a friend who also wants to learn it, you do the first meeting as a host, and then your friend does the second meeting and they get to be the host. You also can make someone a co-host, or you used to be able to make someone a co-host. I made Ellen, I thought I was making Ellen the co-host of this meeting, but instead I made her the host, and I no longer am, and I can't, my security button went away. I didn't expect that to happen. So I'm trying not to be crazy about that today, but it wasn't my intention for that to go away. Some of these things you can do live on your device in the meeting I was just saying, but some of them you cannot. do live on your device. So here's where we go to my desktop and I share that. And I go to Safari. And then you hear me say, oh crap, because I guess I didn't share that right. So I'm going to stop this share, start again. Safari start page, Google Chrome. That's what I want to share. No, that's my slides. I swear, as a teacher of this class, I was ready when I started, but now I'm not finding it. So do the share 1/3 time again. Oh, desktop maybe. No, so I'm not in Zoom US. Okay. And if I type Zoom US and I go there, do you all go there with me? So can you guys see a Zoom, Google screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Okay, good. Watch me not be able to type. So now you're seeing my account, and under the profile, I can change my photograph by clicking on this change button. Someone was asking, how do you change your picture? And so I actually did this sort of clever thing here of, and you're seeing me edit this picture, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I made my Zoom profile picture, because this may be like the best recent picture that has ever been taken of me, and I can save that. If I wanted it to be an entirely different picture, I would hit this upload button here, and then that would take me to my camera, my photos. I don't have any photos on this computer, so I can't actually demonstrate that, but I'd scroll around through my photos, find a different photo, choose it, upload it, and then edit what part of that I wanted to have shown there. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Let's see. You can link different Zoom accounts if you want to get really fancy. This might be helpful to you, Barbara. I don't know. I do have a license type because a free account, which I encourage you all to sign up for if you didn't have one, allows you to have a meeting with up to 100 participants for 40 minutes only. And my book club usually goes for 2 hours, so I wanted a longer meeting time for that. So this is the facts about my account. And we know that because that's word profile is what's set up here. Important for you all to look at what's under this word settings. And the security features that I was talking about, like this top one, is giving me this per new guidelines, you cannot change this. The waiting room is turned on. You could turn that off just by clicking on that. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to turn it back on. Whether you require meeting passcodes and meeting ID, all is on here. Some of the things that I find that I learned after a while, let's see, continuing to scroll down, there's nothing here that I think is particularly So we talked about saving chats. I could prevent participants from saving chat, Barbara, but I don't want to, so I don't have that one turned on.
Beth, are you going to show us how to invite people to a meeting?
I hadn't really intended to, but I maybe can go ahead. So let's keep scrolling. There's a place here. The one thing that I think is useful, and I think it's pretty far down. So here's whiteboard sharing, saving of shared screens with annotation, all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that I think is helpful, particularly for new hosts, oh, this is where those virtual backgrounds live that you may have seen other people use, as opposed to the messy kitchen or wherever they live.
Or office?
Right. There's something in here somewhere that I'm not seeing right now that is play a sound when someone enters the waiting room. And I like that as a meeting host, particularly for library classes that, you know, people might arrive 20 minutes late. And I don't just leave somebody sitting in the waiting room for an hour because I get a tone and it lets me know they're there. Right now, I'm not seeing that, so I'm not going to keep looking for it. So I encourage you to look through this if you're going to be a meeting host. So let's go ahead and make a new meeting. I can do it from the app or from zoom.us. From zoom.us, I'd say schedule a meeting. I could name this, if my mouse would work. I'm experiencing a little bit of that lag we talked about. I'd say when it starts and for how long it's going to go. The how long it goes doesn't matter that much. If it is a recurring meeting every first Monday of the month, they're a little bit harder to schedule, but they are pretty self-evident if you just keep breathing and reading the screen. It's going to want to, I'm not going to get into regular meetings or recurring meetings. So I think that's the main thing I need to do to schedule this meeting. So I'm going to, let's see. So here's my meeting. Oh, and if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I can save it. On the alternative host message here, this also is something I've had to learn the hard way. I don't know how it works on just a private account. On the library's sjlib.org account, the only people who can be alternative hosts have to have an sjlib.org email address in order to be an alternative host. So that's some of the stuff that Zoom sets up for you. Before I hit save on this meeting, I'm going to go up here above my profile picture where the word support is. And Alan was saying that you can read about how to do this on an iPad. Zoom has excellent support. It's very searchable and you can find out how to do that. But I'm going to go ahead now and save this test meeting. And here is the invite link, Barbara, but here is also the copy invitation. So if I click on copy invitation, it's the whole long thing. I can copy that meeting invitation, then I can go back up to my Safari. Let's see. I'm not much of a Mac user here. So how do I add a new tab? Oh, over here. And go to Gmail. And sign in. And start a new email. And then without doing anything else, I go into the body of the email and I do paste so that I don't lose what I've copied. Then I choose my recipients and the subject. So how'd that work for you all?
That's good. So you don't invite people when you're in the Zoom app, you don't add who you're inviting, you actually just copy the invitation.
That's an
I've
excellent
never done
question.
it this way. I do mine right from the app.
Excellent question, Barbara. So what, and it's going to get me back to a speech I like to give. All these companies, Apple and Google and Microsoft and Zoom want them to be the center of your universe. So you can put your contacts in Zoom, and then Zoom has your contacts. That to me, all my contacts live in Gmail. I've got hundreds of them. I don't want to screw around with having some here and some there. So for me, this is the easy way.
I see.
Can I say something?
And then, yeah.
Yeah, Ellen, go ahead.
Okay, when I've done it, let's see. I just go to, where is it?
So here's the link.
Yeah, I don't do it online. I've been doing it just on the Zoom app itself.
Right. So excellent point. There's two ways to do almost everything in Zoom. And so the other way,
very easy.
The other way to do it would be to do it in the Zoom app. And so you can copy the invitation from there. But let's see, if I go to home here in the Zoom app, I can schedule a new meeting. I can call this test.
Boy, mine doesn't look anything like that.
2 and schedule it for whenever, save it. I'm doing.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've never done it the way you're doing it, and I find that very confusing and complicated. What I've done is when my app is open, I open Zoom, and then I go to participants at the bottom and choose to open the little white sidebar. And then at the bottom of the sidebar, it says invite.
So why don't you go ahead and demonstrate that, please?
But they can't see it because I can't share this.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, okay, so I'm looking at you all. And I click participants at the bottom. And that opens the white thing on the side. And down at the bottom, it says invite, mute all, or more. So invite, I click invite. And then it says here, email, Gmail, Yahoo Mail. I choose default email because that's what I have. And okay, now I'm going to try to share the screen and you can see what came up, I hope. Okay, this is what popped up when I said email.
So
all I got to do is put in their address.
Okay.
And send it to them. And then, okay, so I'm gonna, no, cancel. So if I stop sharing, so then if I send that to them, what I've done a lot of times, if I'm doing this with somebody who knows it's coming, is I send them a text saying, I've just sent you the Zoom link, and they can open their email and click it. And then they show up on the right in the waiting room ready to be let in. And then you're in a meeting.
So there are different kinds of Zoom meetings. There's the instant meeting where you decide let's video chat and you're just going to have a 2-person conversation, 2 or 3 person. Or there's one like this that's scheduled, weeks in advance, and I keep sending out that invitation to people. And clearly for me, for a meeting that I've scheduled weeks in advance, it's easier to copy and paste that invitation into new emails that keep coming in. So Barbara, it partly depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Right, just a question. So are you saying, Ellen, that if we're in a meeting like this, I can get everyone's email who's participating?
That I doubt. I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
Can you, Beth?
No. What she's saying is that when she's allowed Zoom access to her email account, which is something that she has done at zoom.us, and on her device, she's given it access to her contacts. So then Zoom can have that contact right there.
Yeah.
So her,
Actually, it
her
doesn't,
contact-
actually, I haven't, and it doesn't. I have to put it in. But it opens my email for me because I chose the email.
but it, and your email knows your contacts.
Yeah, my email knows my contacts.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. You've given Zoom that kind of access to your contacts.
Well, I don't think so. I just gave my email, which is in contacts on the computer.
Right, so it's not
So
like
Zoom
it's
doesn't have all
saving
that.
those contacts, but at least it can, because there are these privacy concerns, right? Ellen hasn't given my email address to Zoom, but she can access my email address via Zoom.
I'm not sure about that. I can access your email address through my mail account.
Right, through your mail account while you're in that.
Well, it opened an email for me through my mail account. It didn't open it in Zoom.
Right.
This is what the Apple Mail looks like when I open it.
Right.
This bit. Share. This thing. This is Apple Mail.
Right.
It's not Zoom.
It's not.
So I haven't given Zoom a whole bunch of stuff. I don't like to give everybody my everything.
Exactly.
But it puts all of that information instantly. And say I had a group, this is for instant, when I do my music lessons, I send a thing off to Hanukkah and then she can log in. And it's easy to do a one person or a two or a few. I guess if you had a group in your email list, you could do it to a group as well.
Yeah, you could.
Right. And so for instance, I make groups all the time for English class, for beginning English, intermediate English, advanced English, tech help. So I'm easily able to email the 8 or 12 people that need to be at that particular meeting in one invitation.
Right.
So let's see where we are on this. There is a lot at zoom.us to look at, and I don't know if you had an account before today or not, Barbara, but it bears scrolling through that. That help there can be pretty good. Some of the things that we're trying to use Zoom to do, Zoom's hadn't thought of, isn't designed for. So we have a kind of a 2-hour rolling meeting on Mondays, and we make breakout rooms where 2 people can go off and work on tech help by themselves. And if you don't get to the meeting until 10:20, I made the breakout rooms 15 minutes ago and I can't put you in one now. So that's unfortunate. And we just discovered that. So
well, Zoom is updating all the time, so
Right.
stuff like that probably will be possible. I have one question going back to hosting meetings. And so I have a Zoom account. It's under my Visitors Bureau email. If I wanted to host a meeting with my personal email, would I just, in the profile, would I just add my personal email in
I
there?
don't think so. I think you have two accounts. So I actually have 3 Zoom logins. And today you saw my personal private account. So I have three different Zoom logins. You may be able to link accounts. I think I saw on that Zoom page that you could do that, but you probably wouldn't want to do that between your Visitors Bureau account and your personal one, but you might want to do it vice versa. Zoom does allow you easily, instead of signing out, to switch accounts if you're logged in with 2 different accounts. And I have to do that frequently. Also, depending on what you pay for at Zoom, you get different things. So the library has originally set up to have 1 meeting at a time. And for all 12 of us or however many there are, that doesn't exactly work. I may need to do a class right now while the library director wants to have a meeting with a board member. And so we actually got a second account so that we could have multiple meetings at the same time. In fact, that is happening today. There's a job interview going on while we're doing this.
Yeah, and I think if you have a free account, this has happened to me. I've been kicked off and I didn't realize that you can, after 40 minutes and you get kicked off, you can rejoin again, you know, using the same link to continue the meeting if you don't have a paid account.
That's good to know. Because I'm not too familiar with the free account. So that's good for those of you who don't want to pay for Zoom to know.
And the free account seems to work for just one other person endlessly. It doesn't kick you off at 40 minutes.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mhm.
Right. In fact, Mike Hamlet, who's a library tech volunteer and knows more about technology than I do, said that he's been using Zoom free for a support group he runs all year long, that they made free accounts not necessarily kick you off at 40 minutes. So, you know, yeah, Zoom,
Okay.
they're changing their rules all the time. They are getting better and better about things. It pays to update your, if Zoom is saying there's a new version, it pays to take a moment and install that.
Ellen, would you repeat what you said about the Zoom account and free account and just before Beth talked again?
I
You said
think
what?
it was that I have been able to do one-on-one Zoom for endless amounts of time, not 40 minutes.
Just two
Okay.
people in the meeting. Just two people in the meeting can talk without a time limit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, that's how everybody's doing music lessons these days. Far from ideal, but it works, sort of.
Actually, 3 can talk unlimited. My brothers and I, Connecticut, California, and here have gone on for 2 hours.
Wow.
Good.
Good to know.
Any other questions or comments? Or we've got our hour and a half and I'm done.
Thank you very much. This is very helpful.
Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you so much. Yay.
Are
So-
you going to tell the ones who joined today when the next meeting is, the repeat of this? Because very honestly, I need a repeat to get it into my head.
Alice, are you signed up to get emails from the library about our programs?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it'll be in that announcement. And I am looking on my calendar and I believe I set it up yesterday for February 10th, but didn't put it in my calendar. I think it's February 10th at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Okay, thank you.
I believe it's February 10th at 3
A
o'clock.
couple of people.
This meeting has been recorded and you can also look at the recording, and maybe now also, Ellen, you could end the recording.
Okay, it says a couple of people put in chat that they wanted to know where to get the recording.
Right, and that will be posted on our website, and once it is, I can also email it to them or something. It takes Floyd a little while to edit out some of it, and
Right.
I'm not gonna learn
Okay.
how to do that, I don't think.
I'll end the recording.